UCLA, I wasn't walking with Christ. We have this event at UCLA called the Enormous Activities Fair. It's this big event where it's just like all the clubs on campus are just around, so it's like very, very crowded. And I decided to look for a Latino group on campus. I was curious about the Lord and just kind of seeing what he was about, and the fact that it was also mixed with a Latino culture. I was just like, okay. So I took one of their surveys. They put me on the mailing list, and then they sent me an email about Bible study. And they put a contact number there, and I texted that number, and I told the student leader a little bit about my story. And so she's like, yeah, like, look for me, like, you could totally come tonight. And so that first night at Bible study, I think it was a very crucial moment, because I decided that these kind of people were the people that I wanted to meet at my time here at UCLA, and even beyond that. So ever since then, I've been in Destino, and I've loved it. I really think that when I did come here, it was kind of a culture shock, because I mostly saw people that didn't look like me, people who didn't speak Spanish, people who didn't know that El Salvador was not Mexico. And so that was the main reason why, because there are people who don't know what it's like to have immigrant parents, who don't know what it's like to have like kind of this divide of being both Latino but also American. I didn't really grow up with God's presence in the household. We didn't really think about him too much. When I came to college, it's actually like the first time they started like realizing like, oh, you know, she's thinking about God, you know, and she's like learning about God and all that. So after I decided to get baptized, it was a very significant point in my walk, because that's when I experienced an obstacle. And although like my mom was, she said that I was, you know, she said, you know, you're doing a good thing. I'm really happy for you. My father was really the one who brought the most sadness in my heart, because he told me when he found out, he said, you know, you're young, you should go party. You shouldn't really like be committing yourself to something like this. And in that moment, it was very, very hard on me, because it just presented the question of how can I do something like this when someone's against it, or my own father. And they told me, you know, what you're doing is you're just making a public declaration of a commitment, of something that you already committed to. So just know that we will be praying for you. And you know, sometimes these things come at a cost, but you know, when the Lord is with you, you are just strengthened by him, and really there's nothing that should stop you. If you really want this in your heart and you know that you want it, why would you let someone stop it? It was a very hard decision, but I still decided to go ahead with my baptism, because I'd already let a chance slip me by, and I said, you know, no more, like, I want to do this and I'm going to do this. The day of my baptism, actually more people went than I was expecting. My father showed up, and so did my mom and my sister. And I really think the fact that their love for me it just transcended anything that they ever thought of my decision. It was very important to me. And since then, I feel like they're starting to accept more and more my decision to follow Christ.
Through your weakest moments, to leave them behind. Turning nightmares, only shadows. Cast some light, it'll be alright.
Spring retreat of my first year was the first time I actually went to like a retreat or any of the conferences that they hosted. So it was just a little bit of us between two campuses. And that was really when I first caught the glimpse of the Christian life, and I was like, okay, this is really nice. So fall retreat of my second year is when we went to the mountains, and like the atmosphere was just perfect. It was like away from all the like chaos of the city, and it was just really a great place to focus on the Word and focus on the Lord. So one of those nights, we were singing worship, and after the pastor had spoken a very powerful message, I was just remembering those words, and something overwhelming took over, and I said, and like I remember thinking like, I can't do this on my own anymore. Like I need him. Like why would I give it up after knowing how great he is, how much he loves me? Why? So in that moment, I really just told him like, yes, like please come into my life and become the center of my world.
Only shadows cast some light and you'll be alright. Cast some light and you'll be alright.
So I think what God wants to use Destino for on this campus, or even beyond that, is in the vision that Destino has. So to connect other Latinos with each other and to God. And I feel like I have really seen that, especially in my life, because I realized that the way that God made me is not a mistake. I am Latino for a reason, you know, and it's a beautiful thing, the Latina culture of, you know, just being even able to share it with staff who may not know, and just also learning of how I can use that in my community at home. So the reason, or I believe that, you know, he gave me the ability to speak both Spanish and English, so I can talk to different communities who don't know maybe one language or another. So for those who don't know English, I can speak Spanish. For those who don't know Spanish, I can speak in English. And I think just knowing that you have been given this gift of culture and just using it to your advantage is something that is very valuable. And I learned, apart from embracing it, that it's not a mistake. I have nothing to be ashamed for in the way that I was made. And so I really do believe that God wants to use Destino to show other students that as well, that no matter what skin color you have, or no matter what language you speak, you were made like that for a reason. It might take some time to just understand what that reason is, but you will find it if you trust in the Lord and you ask him to reveal it to you.